and welcome back to Let's Plate Nostalgia, the cooking show where we try to bring nostalgia to your kitchen. I'm Liz, I'm a home cook and also the client care manager at Synergy Home Care, and today my very special guest is Gloria, who is a resident at the Inman. So Gloria chose the recipe for us, and it is Gloria's Stuffed Peppers. I love that name. Tell me a little bit about why you chose this recipe.
Well, the marketing director at the Inman chose that. I put Gloria's Stuffed Peppers, and she put Gloria's Stuffed Peppers.
I think that was a good call. That is a great name. And you made this recipe quite a bit, right?
Oh yes, I've made it ever since I moved to Lincoln, Illinois, for all my neighbors and friends.
Perfect. Yes, it's an easy recipe to share. Well, we are going to get started. The first step is to wash the peppers, and really it is a really user-friendly recipe. All that's involved are peppers, canned tomatoes with onions, vinegar, sugar, basil, hamburger, uncooked rice, beef bouillon, and Mrs. Dash or pepper. Did I forget anything?
Yes.
Oh, what did I forget?
The uncooked rice should be minute rice.
Okay.
And if you don't have minute rice, you can use a pack of Uncle Ben's Ready Mix, or you can use leftover rice from your kitchen, whatever you have. This is a foolproof recipe. Just use what you have.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to wash these peppers, and then we are going to let the expert cut them. Here's your first one, Gloria.
Okay. Now, leave the stem on. We want to put this so it sets in the pan. Hopefully you buy a pepper with 4 bumps. Okay, it sets that way, so we're going to cut it this way. You want to cut it from stem to stern so it lays sideways, like that. And then you pull out the seeds and you gently pull out the stem like that. Now, that'll give you 2 halves out of 1 pepper, so you get more sauce on top of the meat to fill. In other words, it tastes better. There, you gotta figure out where the bumps are. There, that's good. Cutting this again from top to bottom. So it lays sideways, like that. Now, you can rinse this off in hot water, and you don't have to blanch the peppers. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm happy to. That just cleans those up nicely, doesn't it?
Oh yes.
Take these extra ones. We're just rinsing out all those extra seeds and skin.
And don't forget to preheat your oven.
Last one.
This is a toaster oven. The reason why I'm making it in a toaster oven is because it's summer. You don't have to heat up your whole kitchen. Also, in assisted living or even in independent living, if you're elderly, there's a timer on your toaster oven. You're not going to burn this. It's safer for your environment.
And that's something I really love about this recipe as well, is it is so, again, user-friendly. You can really make it anywhere if you're in independent living or assisted living or even just at home and don't want to mess around with the oven. It is just fantastic for everyone. Well, the next part is to make the easy tomato sauce. So I'm going to open this can of diced tomatoes with the onions, and Gloria is going to work on the seasonings for me.
We're going to use vinegar and basil. Basil just makes the stuffed peppers, like oregano makes spaghetti sauce. If you make stuffed peppers, don't forget the basil, even if it's your home recipe.
And we're just going to dump that in there, juice and all. Here you go, Gloria.
We put in 2 tablespoons of vinegar. This is a foolproof recipe. You can use a regular tablespoon. You don't have to measure exactly. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of sugar. This is my apartment-friendly sugar, so I don't get hard sugar. It doesn't turn into a lump. And we want to put in about a teaspoon of basil. And stir that up. That's your easy sauce.
That was pretty easy. That's looking good. Perfect. Well, now we're going to move on to the stuffing part. And so when you're putting this ground beef in here, you're going to want to break it up so that things can evenly get divided into it. Don't mind me, Gloria. You do your thing.
Okay. I would like to recommend Herbox sodium-free bouillon for those who have heart problems, unless you're on a medication that you can't have a sodium-free product. This tastes really good in your meatloaf and your meatballs and your stuffed peppers because it gives it that extra beef kick and just the right amount of salt.
I'm just working on breaking that up. I think we're looking pretty good. Everything's gonna get evenly distributed. All right, go for it, Gloria.
Okay, and I use a few dashes of Mrs. Dash. There, that's all they need, just
And
one of
Mrs.
those.
Dash is low sodium, isn't it?
Yes, it has no sodium.
So for people on heart-healthy diets or trying to kind of decrease sodium in their diet, again, this is extremely a senior-friendly recipe.
And then we put in a half a cup of minute rice. Now that's about 2 handfuls. Just like that.
Perfect.
Do you want to mix it?
I would love to.
Okay, don't overwork the mix.
I would never. Yeah, if you overwork the meat, then it's gonna get tough. Nobody wants that.
If you don't have Herbox, you can use soy sauce. A few squirts of that.
Okay, so our meat mixture is ready. Now that it's ready, we are gonna throw a couple spoonfuls of that easy sauce we made in there. Gloria, if you wanna go ahead.
You want to put the easy sauce in there because you need the moisture to keep the meatballs moist and fluffy.
Perfect. You want me to give that a mix?
Oh yes.
Get all of that good juice in there. This is looking delicious. You want to put that in there for me?
We forgot to oil the pan. You have to stop and oil the pan.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's use Pam olive oil spray. If you don't have Pam olive oil spray, you can use your regular olive oil and oil it with your fingers. Okay, now
Perfect.
it's time to stuff the peppers. We're gonna stuff 1 red one and 1 green one.
I'll do the red one if I may. Which one should I use?
That one.
That looks
Mhm.
good.
And I'll do the green one.
And you just fill it as much as you can. Just stuff it right on in there.
Yeah, put your finger down there and stuff the little crevices.
Absolutely. Not too bad. What do you think, since you're the expert? Does that look pretty good?
That's real good.
Perfect.
Okay, put this that way in the pan. The other way, that way.
Oh, okay.
This recipe makes enough for 2 pans. You make one for yourself and you give one to your grandson or your neighbor or the guy that mows the lawn. See? There's plenty.
Perfect. Yep, and you're using up most of that meat.
If you don't want to give your present away right away, you can freeze the meatballs in plastic bags and put them in the freezer. Just don't stuff them. Put them in the freezer and stuff your peppers later.
That's perfect. And then you can thaw that meat at a later time and then get some fresh peppers and you're ready to go. So this would be a good food to meal prep as well. Okay, so now our peppers are in the pan. They are looking fantastic. And we are gonna put the rest of that tomato easy sauce on. Just gonna make sure that gets out of the lid and give it to Gloria.
Okay. Now, it's up to you how much sauce you want to put on. I like to put on all the sauce and make another sauce for my guest peppers.
Nice and moist and juicy.
I like lots of sauce. If you have lots of sauce, you can cut this up and make a stuffed pepper soup. Now, the secret of using a small toaster oven is you fold down the ends. See, it fits in a small oven like that. If you have a larger oven, you don't have to worry about it. I like my small oven best because it doesn't heat up my apartment. Okay, turn that on for an hour.
Perfect, so that is gonna bake at 350 for 1 hour. And in the meantime, we're gonna get to know Gloria a little bit more. So a hot topic right now is vaccinations. You and I have both been COVID vaccinated. Tell me a little bit about your experience with that.
The Inman took us on the van. I went over to the dress barn because I'm under 65. I was one of the last to get vaccinated. The others went to the iHotel on the van, and only one of us had a sore arm. I didn't have any side effects at all, and nobody at the Inman has caught COVID. It's a clean environment. Everybody's safe.
And you know, like you were saying, you can go to iHotel, you can go to Dress Barn. I personally went to Public Health. I think there are quite a few options to get the job done. And Synergy, we're essential workers, and so we were one of the first to get vaccinated, I think, the first week of January. And we all did it and didn't have any issues, and I'm so glad we did, because I know Synergy and the Inman and everyone that works in senior care just wants to protect our seniors. So when I walked in this morning, I thought I had the wrong room, because this girl does not look like a senior. So tell me how the heck you snuck in here, and I also think you're pretty active. So tell me about what kind of volunteer work you do and what you've been up to.
I came with a broken ankle. I was in a wheelchair for 6 months.
Oh no.
My bones were shattered, and later on I found out I have osteoporosis, and I have heart problems, regurgitating heart valve. So I wear out easily. And the people here really take good care of each other. It's a community with 30 people living together. And I left and got my own apartment, but I came back because I needed to live together with people that cared.
And you're very, very social from what I'm gathering. So being a part of community can be so important, I think, just for the spirit. And you volunteer for RSVP, I think you call bingo here. Tell me why you enjoy that and why you do it.
Well, I'm a retired activity aide, and I like working when I want to work. When I can help people, I help them out, and then I don't really have to. So I call bingo on Friday when I want to, and I have the Scrabble tournament on Saturday. I work at Salt and Light on Tuesday and Thursday. And then on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday and Sunday, there's a 99-year-old resident here that I take to lunch.
Wow.
And I take her outside in a wheelchair, and we go to City Hall or 10,000 Villages or the Tea Shop or just around the park. And it's something that I can do, and I enjoy it very much. That's my only paying job.
Things are more fun when you don't have to do them. But this is what I'm saying, though. I said it last episode, and I'm saying it this episode. You're never too old to be active or give back. I mean, she's 99 and she's going to the tea shop. That's amazing.
Yes, and she learned how to walk here.
Wow.
We have physical therapy here at the end, and she learned how to walk again.
Physical therapy can do wonders. Yes.
I would like to mention that we have other RSVP volunteers as well.
Yeah.
Pam runs the movies. Mary Lou works for the Carl Auxiliary at the resale shop.
Wow.
So just because you're old doesn't mean you have to stop living. You can do the best you can. And don't forget, if somebody can do something better than you, don't give up. Do it anyway.
Absolutely. It's important that you're enjoying yourself. Well, and actually a little shout out to RSVP if you're not familiar with who they are. They're an entire group of senior volunteers. So, I mean, they're just seniors all over this town volunteering in all sorts of different ways, giving back to the community. Just amazing.
You can sign up at the Senior Citizen Center. They have a big, long 2-page list of places that need help and volunteer work you can do.
Absolutely. That is wonderful, Gloria. Good job. Okay, so now it has been an hour, so our meatballs should be done. And actually, we have another special guest joining us. This is Cindy Johnson. She is the marketing director here, and she has kindly agreed to help us taste test.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean, Gloria talks about her stuffed peppers all the time, so I was so excited when she said she wanted to make them, so now I get to actually taste them. So
Yes.
I'm excited.
It's a special treat. Well, Gloria, let's see what we got out of that oven.
Well, let's first check and see that they're done.
Okay.
Use a meat thermometer. You want this at 160, 165 degrees. It'll tell you well done here, like a steak. And you put that in there. And oh yes, it's done.
Perfect. I can already smell it. It smells good, doesn't it, Cindy?
Mmm, it smells delicious.
Yes, yes, yes. Gloria's going to do us the honors of serving it up.
Wow. It's amazing that you can do this in a toaster oven. I had no idea.
So healthy. That's what I love.
Yeah, for
Easy
sure.
and healthy usually don't go
Ding, it's
together.
done.
And I like the sound effects.
Yes.
Wow. Yum.
Mhm.
I think it's lunchtime, right?
Yeah, close enough. I don't know about you, but I can always eat.
Yeah.
One for you. That's for Cindy.
Okay.
Give me the big bowl. I'll give you this one. Now,
Ah.
to my artist's eye,
It's the big one.
I get
this
this
looks
one.
like this looks like a painted turtle. Yes.
Here, can I help you with
Oh
that?
yes.
There you go. Very nice. Yum.
And you put the juice in here, and you can cut it up, and you have stuffed pepper soup
Okay.
or turtle soup.
All right. So are we gonna get to taste this?
Absolutely.
So you have a fork. I got a
I
fork.
do.
Gloria's got a fork. Here we go.
Perfect.
Can't wait to try it.
Looks so good. This is a whole lunch for me.
Mmm. Wow. Those are delicious, Gloria.
Oh
You've
my God.
outdone yourself. That's
Mm.
good.
It's so good.
Oh, wow.
And again, that really shouldn't be healthy because it's so good, but
Mm.
it is.
Mmm. Well,
Let me get more of that stuffing.
I'm definitely gonna make this recipe
Mm.
for sure.
Me too.
Good job.
Yeah. And that rice is all the way cooked because we put that in there uncooked, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really savory. That tomato sauce gives it a good flavor.
Mhm.
And if the kids eat it, you can call it turtle soup.
Okay. There you go.
Whatever gets the
My
job
little
done.
guy just called turtle soup.
There you go. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Gloria, for walking us through this today. This is amazing.
Yeah. Thanks. for-
She's still eating because it's so good.
We worked her hard.
Yes, we sure did.
I'm hungry.
Okay.
So Gloria has another special surprise for us. This is just a treat today. She's also a musician on top of her many other talents. So she is now going to play us a song that you wrote, right?
I wrote it for the pandemic.
Absolutely amazing.
Let us climb the hill together. Let us climb the hill together. Let us climb, you never know just what you'll find. It might be peace of mind. Let us climb the hill together. Let us learn to bake together. Let us bake, let us learn to bake together. Let us bake, you never know just what you'll find. It might be peace of mind. Let us learn to bake together. Let us learn to live together. Let us live, let us learn to live together. Let us live, you never know just what you'll find. It might be peace of mind. Let us learn to live together. Let us learn to eat together, 6 feet apart. Let us learn to eat together. Thanks in our heart, you never know just what you'll find. It might be peace of mind. Let us learn to eat together. Let us learn to play together. you'll find. It might be peace of mind. Let us learn to pray together. Let us learn to sing together. Let us sing. Let us learn to sing together. Let us sing. You never know just what you'll find. It might be peace of mind. Let us learn to sing together. Everybody now. Let us learn to sing together. Let us sing. Let us learn to sing together. Let us sing. You never know just what you'll find. It might be peace of mind. Let us learn to sing together. People ask me what kind of instrument this is. This is a cigar box. The sound hole is a carved out spoon. I have a food handler's license. And the neck is a yardstick. I have a teacher's aid license. This is controlling the volume here. My friend Tony Taylor made this from Ascendant Music Corporation. Have a good day.
Oh, that was awesome.
Gloria, you are a natural too.
Yes.
That was fantastic.
That
Great
was
work.
beautiful.
You're RSVP, you work at Salt Light,
She's a busy girl. She was telling me a little bit about it.
and she's a good at Pine Park.
Let us climb the hill together. Let us climb. Let us climb the hill together. Let us climb. You never know just what you'll find. It might be peace of mind. Let us climb the hill together. Let us learn to eat together. Let us eat. Let us learn to eat together. Let us learn to eat together, 6 feet apart. Let us learn to eat together, thanks in our heart. You never know just what you'll find.
If you are a senior and interested in being on my show or have a recipe that you would like us to make, please email me at elizabethsollard@synergyhomecare.com. We'll see you next time.
Hi, my name's Kara Hodebeck. I'm with Transitions Hospice, and I'm here with you today with the Senior Resource Center, getting ready to do a painting tutorial. You're going to want to start off with a painting that you're either wanting to do. You can imagine it in your mind if you would like, or if you're kind of like me, I kind of need a little bit guidance. So I have this little printout of a flower that we're going to do today. I am going to stick with the colors that are shown here, but you can definitely change the colors up. Maybe do a lighter color for the springtime. So this is the image we'll be doing. And this is what the image should look like when you're finished. You're going to want to start off with doing a light sketch just so that you know around about where you're wanting your painting to be. And you'll put it on your easel and get ready to go. You can do this one of two ways. I usually prefer like doing my background first, waiting for it to dry and then painting on top of that. But we're going to start out with a sketch first and then start with the flower. Like I said, I'm using the same colors as was shown in the picture. So I'm using a light blue, a dark blue, a light yellow, and a darker yellow. I do have my black to give it a little bit more darkness if need be. My red for the ladybug, and then a little bit of white too for any lightness we want to put in. So I am going to start with the middle of the flower. I'm going to have my template here to be able to reference back to. I'm going to use a slightly larger brush because the area that we're painting in is kind of a larger area. So I will start with my darker yellow, and I am using acrylic paints. Acrylic paints tend to dry a little bit faster, which is good, so that if you're wanting to add any darkness or any highlights to it, it will not affect your painting at all. It'll be able to add those in very smoothly, very subtly. And I'm using kind of not necessarily a smaller brush, but more of a medium-sized brush to cover this area. You can use a larger one if you're a little more impatient than I am, or a smaller one if you're just a little bit more particular. So I am going in circular motions because I kind of want those brush strokes to be trapped in the painting, and it gives it more of a circular look to it. Brings it a little bit more to life. And as we paint more, your pencil markings will go away. Right now I'm actually kind of enjoying how it's giving it a little bit more of a contrast look, so you can even use it to your advantage. And again, keeping with the brush strokes in a circular motion. Very nice, bright picture, getting ready for summertime. And you'll want to kind of pinpoint where the center of your flower is, because that is going to be a slightly lighter color in the middle, kind of showing that the sun is shining right on that flower. All right, so we're gonna leave that be for a little bit, let that set and dry. We're gonna move up to our flower petals, which is a very dark blue color. Again, you can use whatever color you want. Kind of springy colors, darker colors if you're looking for more of a fall look. And this one I am going to be using a bigger brush. I have a much bigger area to cover, so it'll take a little bit less time if I start out this way. I am going to start with my lighter blue, and then later on I'll put a little bit of a darker blue in to add that contrast. And I am using smaller strokes instead of long ones. You'll have a little bit less of a tendency of putting paint where you don't necessarily want it. But if you do, you can always use it to your advantage. That's the great thing about painting. And then just work on filling it in. This is just going to be a solid color, kind of up and down motions, again, just to help use the brushes of the brush strokes of your brush to your advantage and give it a little bit more of a lifelike look. And these you'll want to be slightly longer brush strokes. You can kind of test your yellow, see if it's dry yet to go back in. We're gonna let it dry just a little bit longer. I'm gonna grab a smaller brush and help keep my outline prominent so that I know where I'm going with my next blue to this petal, and I don't want them to bleed together. You don't have to do that, but it does give it a little bit more depth. And you don't have to go all the way through, just at the bottom and top where they meet. Kind of go into the corner a little bit too of the petals. And we'll go back in and start on our next petal. Like I said, small strokes at first. And then you'll see the black bleed into the blue just a little bit, and that's good. That's gonna give it a little bit more dimension. And Here, I'm going to kind of use my canvas a little bit to give the petal a lighter color in the middle. And you can use the edge of your brush as well. You don't have to just use the side. The edge of your brush is a great tool to use, especially if you're trying to get some additional brush strokes in there. Okay. I am going to go ahead while the paint is wet. I'm going to use another wet brush, a very fine tip brush. Get a little bit more black in here. And the reason why I want it a little bit wet is because I want this black not to necessarily be a very solid black. I want it to kind of bleed in to show shadow. Do it this way. And if it's not quite bleeding, go ahead and dip your brush into your water just a little bit. And again, you don't have to go all the way up and down, even just certain little spots, just to show that separation of the petals. I'm going into my petal over here just a little bit more to give it a little bit of a shadow look. And your black paint will probably still be a little wet. Use that to your advantage. Now we're kind of getting towards the bottom of our flower with these two petals. You want to keep a conscious eye on where your other shadows are to try and line it up. So I'm probably going to put the shadow or the lighting right here on this part of the flower. Just imagining where the sun might be hitting it, and where that shadow might be, and where the highlights may be. Short strokes at first, and then going into long strokes. Now you'll see it looks like I'm kind of running out of paint whenever I get to the highlighting part, and that's because I don't want to get it too dark. Again, if you do, that's okay. You can always highlight it with a little bit of white, or you can highlight it with some lighter blue. That's the great thing about painting, is there is no mistakes. Now while all of that dries, before we put any kind of detail into the petals or into the iris of the flower, we'll go ahead and move on to our background. I want to save the ladybug for last because I really want to put good detail into her. So for this, I'm going to need my big brush again. You'll want to rinse it out really good, because I'm going to be doing more of a yellow background, and with the blue mixed into this brush we'll give it more of a green color, and that's not the color that I'm looking for. Or you can grab a whole new brush altogether. All right, so I'm going to use my darker yellow for the outside. Again, using your brush strokes as much as you can, kind of make it look like it's the flower is causing the lightness behind it. And you get lighter as the closer you get to your flower. Again, keeping an eye on about where you're wanting the lighter part to be. It can be all around the petals of the flower, which is what I'm planning to do. And down here in this corner, I'm going to keep it nice and dark. And again, if you go into your petal, it's not a big deal. Once it dries, you can always cover it back up. And then as my brush starts to run out of the paint, as I get to my lighter portion that I want to be a lighter yellow, I'm just going to let it kind of fade out. I'm not going to put any paint on it right this second. And there's no right or wrong way of where you want this to end up. That's the great thing about using your imagination. Okay, I'm going to go into this side just a little bit deeper, but still using minimal paint. And if you're completely out and you don't want to mess up that light look you're doing, you can just put your brush in your paint and then tap just a little bit out on a paper towel, paper plate, so that you've got just a little bit of paint on there, but not to the point to where it's going to take away that lightness you're trying to put in. And if you do start and get some more paint, I always recommend to start, even if you tap it out just a little bit, start in that darker area that you've already planned on it being dark. And then you can work your way in. And by now your blue should be pretty dry, that you can attempt to get close to it with the background and not worry about any kind of color bleeding. And I'm going to be going around my ladybug with a smaller brush. I'm still keeping it fairly light, so you'll still want to use your fine tip brush. Again, you'll want to use one with a firmer bristles. And just kind of go around it. So I will start with the body of the ladybug and paint that fully red. I'm going to use a small brush again, not terribly small. You want it to have a little bit of a wide tip to it. And start with the outside, kind of outlining your ladybug. Careful strokes. And if you're using acrylic paint, your background, especially on the lighter portion, should be dry enough that if you need to rest your hand for a little bit more of a controlled brush stroke, you can do that. And then once you have the outline pretty well done, again using somewhat circular brush strokes to fill it in to give it a more rounded look, like a ladybug has. Using the remainder of the paint that's on your brush, you won't have to make her too dark, unless you want her darker. Then I will go on with the head, and then I will do the antennas. Again, outlining your space first. Go ahead and go into that flower just a little bit. It shows maybe he's resting his head on it. From here, you can perfect your circle. And then you'll want another really fine tip. This one is not quite fine enough for me. I prefer a little bit more of a stiff tip for a very clean line. And I always drag down. You don't want to be pushing up against your canvas. The texture of the canvas will bend your brush, so always pull down. Just easy strokes. For my ladybug spots, I'm going to use another fine tip, but not quite as small as the other one was. And these are going to be very dark. Start with small dots. Just kind of go in a circular motion. And then you can even do much larger dots. Little half dot up here to show he's got one on his back. Just wherever. Now this is where I have the most fun. I love putting in different colors, different shadows and highlights, which again you'll want your black and your white for. I start with the shadows first, and then from there I figure out where I want my highlights to be. So I'm going to start with mixing some black I'm going to take my dark blue. And mix it up until I get the color that I'm looking for. This is still a little too dark for me. So I am going to take a little bit of white. This you kind of just play around with until you get the color that you want. Again, we're looking for a darker blue, a little darker than what I had in any bottles of mine. You want to be very careful with your black because it will turn it more to a gray color than what you're looking for. All right, so with my petals, I'm going to start from the center of the flower and go up. And I'm going to do some small strokes first, and then from there I'll put in some larger strokes. Really giving it more dimension. This you'll want to kind of stroke up from. You don't need to worry about your brush bending at this point. And as your paint starts to run out of your brush, kind of go towards the sides and blend it in. I'm going to kind of use my shadows to help highlight the lightness in this petal. Again, these will be down here short strokes, and then going into longer strokes. And this does not have to be perfect with the example that you've printed out. This is going to be your interpretation, which will make it very unique. Then I'm going to go into the center of my flower. I'm going to darken the edges around, kind of like what's shown here. Probably not to the extent of what they have, at least not as far in. So you'll want your darker yellow. Put some yellow in, just a very little bit of black, just to darken it up, just a little bit. Very little black. And once I have the yellow to the darkness that I want, I'm going to just tap the brush out just a little bit. And again, circular motions. Going on the outside of the flower, keeping in mind where you want your light source to be so you don't lose your highlights. Gives you a chance to kind of smooth out where your petals meet your center. And you don't want to go as dark, absolutely the darkest that you want the outside of your flower to be just yet, because you can always add more black. Right now we're just trying to start the fading process into the center of the flower. So you want to start out a little bit lighter. And I get told sometimes when I'm painting with other individuals, they're not necessarily happy with it because it didn't turn out the exact same as what you're going off of. And that's what you want. You do not want it to be the exact same. You want it to be your interpretation of it. You can use some lighter yellows too. I'm going to use it to kind of lighten the black that was still trapped in my brush. Okay. And then I'm going to find the brush, preferably one that you haven't used yet. And then I'm going to use my white, dab a little bit out. I'm going to go to the center of my flower. Just very lightly touch, very light brush strokes, highlighting the center of that flower. Now your yellow is not going to be exactly dry yet, and that's good. It's going to help with the blending so that it's not just white on top of yellow. But you'll see that highlight, and it'll be so subtle. Okay. With my white, I'm going to go ahead and go in and put in just a couple of more highlights in my flower petals. Now for my ladybug, just real fast, I'm going to be putting just a little bit of black under her, just to give her a little bit of a shadow, like she's actually on this petal. Just a little bit of black on your brush. Start towards the body of the, right under the body of the ladybug. And the last part that I want to do is darken right here, just a little bit more than what it already is. So that darker yellow that I mixed together, I put just a little bit more black in it. And I'm not going to go all the way around my flower. Starting with a thicker look out here, and gradually it goes in just a little bit more narrow. And blending this in. All right, and that is the final part to our painting. And this is our finished product. Very different compared to our template. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, my name is is Jacob Johnston, Community Program and Engagement Coordinator for the Urbana Park District. I really hope that you've been enjoying our CUWise content, and today I'm going to show you how to access all of that content from youtube.com anytime you'd like and absolutely free. The only thing you're going to need is an internet-ready computer, tablet, or smartphone, and let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we would like to do is find an internet browser. For today, I'm going to be using Mozilla Firefox, so I'll go ahead and double-click it. And it's worth noting that today I'm going to be using a desktop computer, but again, you can access all of the same content from a tablet or smartphone through the YouTube app. All right, now that I'm in the internet browser, I'm going to locate the address bar at the top of the screen. It's this big white bar that says urbanaparks.org. However, I don't want to be at urbanaparks.org. I want to be at youtube.com. So I'm going to backspace out of all of that and instead type in youtube.com and hit enter on my keyboard. And while YouTube is loading, I did want to note, if YouTube is something you're unfamiliar with, don't stress about it. Find somebody who might be a little more familiar with YouTube, and I'm sure they'd be happy to show you the ropes. All right, now that YouTube is loaded, we're going to find the YouTube search bar. Keeping in mind that we want to use this YouTube search bar and not the address bar at the top of the screen for our next step. So in the YouTube search bar, I'm going to type in UPTV6 and then hit enter on my keyboard. If everything goes as planned, we should see the channel UPTV6 here, and I'll click on the name in order to access the channel. Now, UPTV6 puts out an awful lot of content, so it's important that during this next step, you click playlists so that we only see the CUWise content and not all of the other awesome content that they have. Although, if you do get bored of enjoying our CUWise content, there's an awful lot more for you to check out here. But I'm going to click on playlists. All right. And our first playlist over here on the left says CUWise TV. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. All right. And if you've made it this far, then you have access to all of the CUWise content that is currently published along the right side of the screen. It's going to be organized chronologically by date, so make sure to check it out and let us know how you like it. Again, my name is Jacob Johnston, and we really hope you enjoy CUWise TV. See you next time.
Thank you for tuning into CUWise TV. We hope you enjoyed the show. This video can be accessed anytime on youtube.com. In the YouTube search bar, type in UPTV6 and look for their microphone logo. We hope you will join us again next week for more local, engaging content designed specifically for Champaign County older adults. Take care and stay safe.